Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to today's program. My name is Tunde Disu, and you are watching Become a Better Man. It's an honor for me to have you with me on this program today, and we're starting a new topic, a new series today. And the topic we're looking at is something that for some time I've tried to avoid. I've picked it up, dropped it, I've looked at it, I've examined it, and every time I've tried to delve into it, I just don't feel it's the right time. But we're here now, and that's what we'll be looking at today. The topic for today is rejection. Rejection. A lot of us suffer, a lot of people suffer from rejection in one form or another. Rejection is something that a lot of human beings live with on a daily basis. Some from their parents, some from their spouses, some from their friends, some from employers, some from even their government, their country. Everywhere you look, in every sphere of life, everywhere there are human beings, there is one form of rejection or another going on. I'm sure you've heard the old saying, sticks and stones can't break your bones, but words, sorry, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you unless you believe them. But the reality is, words sometimes are more painful than physical pain, and we're going to get into that as we go along. I remember growing up, one of the things my mom said was, irrespective of my offense, one of the things she would never do is to talk me down or speak to me in a derogative way, or rebuke me in public or things like that, because she said, I would rather you pick up the cane or the stick or whatever and whoop me rather than to talk to me. I don't handle it right. I don't handle it well. And I don't think this is peculiar to me. I think to a lot of people, the feeling of being rejected is one of, if not the most painful experience anyone can go through. And because of the nature of who we are as human beings, rejections are handled by different people in different ways, and people suffer different types of rejections. And sometimes you don't even know that what you are facing or what you are contending with is a form of rejection. But I'm sure as we go through this whole series over the next few weeks, we will uncover some of these seemingly unclassified form of rejection, and we will see as we explore them to see maybe this is what you are battling with without knowing. And also one of the things we'll be doing is to look at the causes of rejection, how to handle it, how to get away from it, how to overcome it, because we as human beings, we have the results, we have the wherewithal to overcome any challenge that comes our way if we just put our minds to it. So we'll be looking at what are some of the causes of rejection, the types of rejections, how to handle them, how to overcome them. And also, if time permitting, at some point, not today, but over the course of the few programs, we'll be looking at what you can do to help somebody that is going through a form of rejection and help that person to come out and be all that they could be. The power of the words that we speak is one of the most potent ways by which people heap rejection on others, and it's one of the easiest way that it can go unnoticed, because you think it's just words. You think they're just speaking their minds. You think they're just letting their hearts out and all of that, which is great. But the pain The danger with words, especially when they're used to put people down or to cast a shadow or a cloud of rejection over people, the danger is that rejection the danger of rejection, if it far exceeds what you may encounter or the pain that you will feel if physical weapon or physical stick or something is used on you. And we're going to see how even within our make as human beings, in our brains, there is a way by which our brains just kick into motion anytime we feel any form of rejection, and how that is compared to the pain that we feel or to the way our brains react when we're inflicted with physical pain. And it's interesting, as we go along, you'll find out. But let's look at what is rejection in the first place. What is rejection? Like I said, there are various types of rejections, various forms of rejection, and the way they are inflicted are different. But in general terms, what is rejection? Well, rejection is simply an act of pushing someone or something away. It's as simple as that. It's an act or a process or of pushing someone or something away from you. And usually, in most cases, rejection are from friends, family, from spouses, romantic partners, from government, from the society, and sometimes even from ourselves. And the result of the emotional result or the emotional implication of rejection can be very painful. Especially, one of the things that you know and I know is that the closer we are emotionally to the person that is dishing out this rejection, the more painful it is. The more painful it is. And that has to do with the fact that, number one, we have the understanding that we're closer to this person. Number two, the attachment puts a form of responsibility or expectations on both of us. And so when that is not fulfilled, but instead what you get is a form of rejection, it can be very devastating and very painful. And that is why you will see some adults, even in their adult age, they still can't get over the pain of the fact that their parents or one of their parents rejected them or put them up for adoption or sent them to foster home for whatever reason. And I want to say upfront that on this program, I am so mindful of people's experiences. I am very conscious of the pains that people are going through, what people have experienced in their lives. So there is no part of this program that is meant to take it casual or to be blasé about it. No, it's just that this is, like I said, this is a topic that every time I've picked it up, I just don't feel that I can deal with it until now. So please, I just want to put that forward so that that's my disclaimer. Now, I was saying that rejection is the act or the process of pushing something or someone away from you, and it's as simple as that. But when you look at the other words that are synonymous to rejection, you begin to understand how deep rejection can be and how the impact that it can have on people. For instance, words like refusal, non-acceptance, words like decline or turn down, or where you are given a categorical no as an answer, dismissal, spurning, rebuke, all those words, they I believe they paint a better picture for us in order for us to understand rejection as a word on its own. Now, the word rejection also means to throw something away. to throw something away. Why would you throw something away? Simply because it's not up to standard, it's not measuring up to your expectation, it has no value, it is not useful to you, you don't need it anymore. Its time has elapsed, it's gone past its sell by date. And those are some of the reasons why you will throw something away. Now, if you bring back to the topic we're looking at, the rejection that we're looking at, if rejection means to throw something away because it has no value, then if you extrapolate that to the feeling of human beings, or the feeling that you and I will have, the sense of being rejected, which means to throw away because it has no value, now you can see how damaging the effect of rejection can be on people. When somebody rejects you, when somebody rejects someone, it leaves that person that is rejected with the feeling that, well, it means I'm just a trash. It means I have no value, or my usefulness is not required. I'm not even useful. So it is not surprising that rejection can be very painful. It goes deep into our marrows. I remember when somewhere during my early years, and we're looking at the human needs, and we talked about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we talked about identity, connection, appreciation, preservation, and provision. When you look at all of these, the middle item there is the one that deals with connection, intimate relationships, friends, belonging, the sense of belonging, the sense of being part of a group, the knowledge and the appreciation of the fact that you are not on your own. And so, because this is a fundamental human need, it goes to the core of our human existence. Just like the need to be identified, the need for identity, the need to recognize or to know who you are. A lot of people in life are struggling simply because they don't know, they have no full understanding of their identity. The same with connection. No man is an island. There's no way you can live your life without being attached or connected to someone or something. So when that connection is missing, when that link is broken, when that intimacy is not there, it immediately affects one of the main fundamental needs of human being, which is the need to feel you belong, the need to feel you are connected, the need to feel you are part of something or a group or a society, as it were. So connection is a fundamental part of our lives. So when that is not there, or when there is a sense that you are not connected or you are rejected, it goes deep into the core of human beings. The world that we live in today is very good at changing friends. Pick them today, drop them tomorrow. Pick them today, drop them tomorrow. My best friend today, I don't want to hear from you again tomorrow. And because of that, the ability to connect deep and to connect long with people has almost disappeared from our vocabulary, from our senses, from our being. The need to be connected and stay connected is a fundamental need. And I must say that because we live in a world that is governed and managed and run these days by media, and because some of the practitioners of the media that we look at are actors and actresses, celebrities, and this and that, and they live a life where deep connection is no longer in their vocabulary. It is, we'll be together for as long as there's a mutual benefit. The moment that benefit becomes questionable, there will be some form of separation. But that separation, in most cases, will go down the route of rejection. The key, the bottom line to people, the bottom line of people who dish out this rejection on others is selfishness. Is selfishness, because they are operating from a mindset that does not regard other people's feeling. They have no, it is me, myself, and I, as far as they are concerned. How it affects others, how it relates to others, the implication of their word, of their actions, of their deeds and everything on other people is immaterial. But the truth is, because we cannot live our lives in isolation of other people, somewhere along the line, your action, my action, your words and my words, they will invariably have effect on somebody else down the line. And that is why it is vitally important that the way we use our words, the way we act, the way we relate, the way we fellowship one with another, the way we connect and maintain the connection is vitally important, because one wrong word at the wrong time, one wrong action at the wrong time, one wrong move at the wrong time can cripple somebody's life forever. And you may say, well, I didn't mean it that way, but it's not about what you mean. It's about how the person at the receiving end will receive it. Like they say, do unto others as you want them to do to you. Before you let go of your words, before you let go of your action, ask yourself, how would I feel if this is coming towards me? How will I receive it? What effect will it have on me? And when we think of others from that perspective, we will, number one, value other people, value the connections we have with them, and the issue of rejection will be limited. People who reject others, they have the mindset of, it's what I want. It's all about them. It is what I want. As much as it's important for you to want something for yourself, as much as it is important for you to have your own wants, desires, and needs, and all of that, again, you must remember, whatever you have, whatever you do, or whatever you say, have effect on other people. And when you don't bear that in mind, you have set the stage to massively reject other people, or cause other people to feel rejected and to feel less than human. Because ultimately, most people, if people who have suffered or who are suffering, who have been through one form of deep rejection or another, if you ask them and they are courageous enough to open up to you, ultimately it comes down to, am I a subhuman being? Am I less than a human being? Is that what this means? Because that is the way our human system is wired to work. Being rejected by society is equally painful. Being rejected by society is equally painful. Now, you could say, well, how society doesn't reject people? What do you mean by it? Well, when someone is cast out of society, or is segregated, or is removed from the colony of fellow human beings, that is the society rejecting that person. And it could be in forms. This societal rejection could be it could function, or it could operate or come in form of racism. When people are racially biased against other fellow human beings because of whatever reason, of their whatever the answer is, whatever is included in the equation, racism is a form of societal rejection. Some people are rejected because of their religious belief, some because of their sexual orientation, some because of their social status, or even financial status, even educational status. People are rejected for different reasons, and when you look at the bottom of it, it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be, because what you are saying to the people that you are rejecting because of all this, some of all of these things that we've categorized here, is you are saying to them, you are less than me, or you are a subhuman. Now, I don't care who you are and where you're from, but when you constantly and all the time and every time and everywhere being told, being reminded that you are less than a human being, that you are less than a group of or a set of people, it will have a demoralizing effect on you. Ultimately, rejection is a value issue. It's a case of what value do you place on me as a person? What value do I have of you as a person? When people are rejected, they feel that the person rejecting them, having looked at all the options, having considered all consideration, has come to the conclusion that this person is invaluable. This person is less than human being. This person is not worthy. This person has nothing to offer. It has no value. And so the outworking of that conclusion is rejection. It's rejection. And usually when people are suffering or people have suffered from rejection, there are variety of unpleasant emotions that this build in them. Emotions like anger, like wrath, like revenge, confusion, sadness, depression, grief, and on and on and on it goes. And usually it leaves you with a question wondering, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? And usually people who are rejected, they have the tendency of looking at themselves rather than understanding that it has nothing, in most cases, to do with you. It is rather the other person that is putting that image on you. When people are rejected, it's a question. It makes them question their self-worth. Their self-worth is what is at stake. It means I'm not worthy. It means I have no value. It means I am useless. I'm not relevant. I'm not needed. I have nothing to offer. Those are the things that go through people's mind when they are rejected. The pain of rejection is magnified. The pain of rejection is magnified and not only painful but also potentially dangerous, especially in an intimate relationship like marriage, like friendship, like partnership. The pain of rejection is deep, because, for instance, in a marriage or in any relationship, this is something you have thought about. This is the person you have considered. This is the person you believe in your heart that this is the person for you. This is the person with you. And then suddenly there's a change, not from you but from the other person. What that tells you immediately is, number one, where did I go wrong? What did I miss? What have I done? What has changed? And all those questions will start pumping you and buffeting you trying to find an answer to something that is not from you. And because you can't put your hand, you can't put your finger on the reason, because you are not in the other person's mind, that inability to find the answer keeps you even further down. And that is why the pain of rejection can go deep in people's life and in people's heart, in people's mind, in people's psychology and emotions and everything. The pain of rejection is deep. And one of the dangers, one of the unfortunate results of rejection or being rejected is that it handicaps people from fulfilling their potentials, from from reaching their potentials, from even attempting to step out of where they are because they're wondering. Nobody would listen anyway. Nobody would reckon with me. Nobody values my opinion. What have I got to offer? I am useless anyway. I might as well not be here. And that is one of the reasons, and we'll find out this as we go along. One of the causes of suicide is this issue of rejection. And we'll look at it as we go along. But suffice to say, rejection is something that it's a killer. I don't think there's any other way of saying it. It's like a mold that eats away every fiber of self-worth in people, to the point where you don't even recognize yourself. You're wondering, what happened to me? How did I arrive here? You can't even identify yourself. That's how deep rejection can be, or the effect of rejection can be on people. But quickly, let's look at some facts about rejection, because one of the things I want us to pay attention to in this series of programs on rejection is, I don't want to limit it to just what happened between you and your spouse or you and your friend. It's a very wide, very massive area that this issue of rejection covers. So we're going to look at some facts concerning rejection. You see, the pain of rejection, it goes well beyond emotional pain. To a lot of people, when you talk about rejection, they bring it as far as the emotional pain that you're feeling. Now, emotionally, it's perhaps one of the hardest punch you can take. Rejection is perhaps one of the hardest blow that you can take. But the pain of it, the impact of it, the effect of rejection, it goes way past just the emotional pain. Rejection hurts. It hurts. And it affects people not just emotionally, but even psychologically. It affects you in your intelligence, in your reasoning, in your IQ, in every part of you. Rejection goes deep and just really causes havoc in people's life. One of the facts about rejection is that when you compare rejection, the pain of rejection rather, when you compare the pain of rejection with the pain that you feel from a physical infliction of maybe somebody hit you, somebody smack you, or so, when you compare the pain of rejection with the physical pain, you'll be amazed that the pain of rejection is actually deeper. If somebody uses a stick on you, or a cane or belt or whatever, yes, you will feel the immediate impact on your flesh, because your flesh will respond to that impact. And maybe for a day or two, you will feel the bruise every time your hand touches it, or every time something touches it, you'll feel the pain. But over time, that pain will disappear and it's like it never happened. Yes, you may have the scar, but the pain itself, it will no longer be there. But when it comes to rejection, it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that. What do I mean by that? Rejection leaves a footprint that can never be erased except by the grace of God. Rejection leaves a stamp on your mind, on your psyche, in your heart, in everything around and about you. And the worst part of rejection is, with physical pain, you feel the ouch at the point of contact, and over time it will disappear. And even when you remember that somebody inflicted that physical pain on you, all you remember is, yeah, I had a scar. There's a scar here from the physical infliction. But when it comes to rejection, every time you remember, you actually relive the whole episode of what happened, how it happened, when it happened, why it happened, where it happened, from whom it happened. And because it is an experience that you can relive, you can turn over again and again, you can play the record over and over and over again. Every time you play the record, you still feel the exact pain that you felt the very first time that it happened. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. With physical pain, you feel the pain, after a while it disappears, and that's the end. Yes, the scar is there, but the pain itself is not there. But with rejection, it goes deeper. It leaves an indelible mark. It files a record in your mind, in your heart, in your body, in your psyche, in your emotions, in your psyche. Everything about you remembers the day that it happened. But more than that, the same pain that you felt at that very first instant, every time you go back to replay that record, you still feel that pain again. As if that thing is just happening just right now. One of the things I found out when I was preparing for this program and this episode is I took time to read about how does our brain process the pain of rejection, because I want to really understand what is going on behind this surface. So I was reading about how does our brain process the pain of rejection, and what I found out I was surprised. Apparently, there is something within our brain when there is a physical pain or physical infliction on us. Our brain registers that, and it releases a form of chemical to ease, to soothe that pain, to take away that pain. Now, when people suffer or experience rejection, the brain releases the same chemical. The same chemical is released from our brain to ease like the physical pain that we feel when a physical infliction is placed on us. Somebody slap you, bam, you feel the pain. And while you're touching it, there's a chemical that your brain will release to help you soothe that pain and take the pain away. It's like a painkiller medicine. That's what your brain will do. But when you suffer rejection, the pain of it immediately triggers that same part of your brain to release that same pain relieving chemical, as if you are feeling a physical pain. That is how strong the pain of rejection is. Our brain prioritizes rejection experience because we are social beings who lives in tribes. Immediately your brain releases this chemical to say, oh, there is something painful somewhere. Let's take the pain away. And that is why when people have suffered rejection over and over and over and over again, what tends to happen is their body becomes immune, or the effect of the pain killer released from the brain is no longer strong enough to take away the pain because it has become a repetitive experience. Thank you, Sister Kate. Sister Kate said, yes, I can identify with that. When I saw that, I was shocked. I was shocked. I had to read it again and again to say, are you serious? Again, that goes to show us that rejection is not meant to be inflicted on anybody. If the brain is so set up to immediately release a painkiller chemical to go through our body because of rejection, that tells us it is not meant, and we should not. I hope from what we're doing tonight, people will understand the effect and the calamity that you are causing other people every time you say something that makes them feel rejected, or you do something that portrays rejection to them. Another fact about rejection is that as human beings, like we said at the beginning, when we looked at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, one of them is the need to be connected, to be part of, to be related, to be attached to other people. What rejection does is it destabilizes this need to belong in us. It neutralizes, it makes this need to be connected, to belong to others, to relate to others. It neutralizes, it withers that need in us. Because you don't want to be rejected. You don't want to be cast. You don't want to be cast out. You don't want to be told again that you don't belong, that your usefulness is no longer viable, that you are not part of us, or you are this or you are that, and you are pushed away, you are rejected, you are abandoned, and all of that. What rejection does is it kills the need in people to want to connect, to want to relate, to want to be part of a group. And this destabilization and disconnection again inflicts emotional pain on people. And that is why, for instance, if you've seen, I've seen some YouTube footages where I remember there was one I saw where this woman had her child, and because she was not well at that time, the child was taken away, and they never connected. But she knew she had a child. She knew it was a girl, but that was all she knew for years and years and years. Now this woman she has disability. She cannot speak well, and some other form of disabilities. Now, after all of that, she then had other children. So these other children, everyone is now grown, and they're looking after her and all of that. And then one day, that her first child is now an adult, and she started searching for her biological mother. Eventually, after years of searching, she found by record who her biological mother is, and she started looking for her and this and that. And eventually, she contacted the family, introduced herself and this and that. Cut the long story short, this woman's children that she lives with now, they now have the task of explaining to her that her first child, her first daughter, wants to connect back with her. And this woman, in her limited way of communication, was telling her children now that she knew she had a child, but that was all she knew. And eventually, for the first time in over 30 years, she spoke with her daughter. Or well, she tried to speak, they tried to speak to each other. And for so long, they couldn't speak. All the two of them could do was cry. They were just crying. They were crying. Because to the daughter, all these years, she'd been longing to connect to where she belonged, to her root, to her person, to her mother. And all these years, this mother too has been living in the agony of what happened to her daughter. She knew she had a daughter, but no more than that. At the point of contact, at the point of connection, at the point that they eventually were able to speak one to another, they couldn't speak. The pain of rejection. I know in her case, in this particular case, it's not an issue of rejection. It was just whatever reason was it. But what I'm trying to say is the separation between the two of them, the disconnection between the two of them for that long was so painful. Imagine what both of them or each of them in their little corners, what they have been, the agony, the pain, the turmoil, the emotional wreck they will have been every time that woman remembers that I had a daughter. I don't care what you put in front of her. They will pale to insignificance because at that time she is going through the labor pain all over again of when she had that child. Every time the daughter think about, I didn't fall down from heaven. Somebody gave birth to me. Every time she thinks about it, it rips something out of her. So one of the unfortunate thing about rejection is that it destabilizes the need for us to belong. When in actual fact, that is a fundamental human need. To feel connected, to feel belonging, to feel related, to be able to say, I am not on my own. Another fact about rejection is that it creates the surge of anger, the surge of aggression, the surge of anxiety. And usually, where you have this anger and aggression, they are usually pointed in the direction of innocent bystanders, innocent people that has nothing to do with them. When you look at the history, for instance, in America, where we've had loads and loads of school shootings, when you read through some of the history of the people that carried them out, a big chunk of it is the feeling of rejection. The fact that they felt bullied at school, or a teacher did something to them and it made them, it cast them out of the class or the group or the school or whatever. Now, I'm not saying that's an excuse to get a gun and shoot people. All I'm saying is part of what rejection does is it builds up this anger and resentment and aggression in people, and at some point that's going to come out. And usually when they come out, it is innocent bystanders, innocent people that suffers for it. Again, violence against domestic violence, whether it's against the man or against the woman. Some people, the employer said, thank you, but your service is no longer required. Especially for men. See, the problem, one of the challenges of men, and one day we're going to do a program just dealing with the psychology of a man. One of the things with men is most men identify themselves, their person, their existence, their value, and whatever in their work, in what they do. A lot of men cannot differentiate between who they are and what they do. That is why if you've seen, you probably have noticed, and if you haven't noticed, pay attention to it from now. When you meet a man, maybe for the first time, and you introduce yourself, say, hello, my name is Tunde. 7, 8 times out of 10, he's going to say, hello, my name is John, and I am a doctor. Or, oh, my name is Doctor this, or I am a this, or I'm a... Because men generally, in most cases, they see their identity not in themselves, but in what they do. So in some cases, when people are either laid off or sacked or made redundant at work, instead for them to see it as maybe there's an economic reason behind it, or a production reason, or whatever, they internalize it as a personal rejection. Why will I be the one to leave the department when all these other people are going to stay? Then it must be you are rejecting me. I'm not valuable. You're saying to me, I'm not adding value to this organization. And again, we've heard of cases where people are laid off and the next day they come to the organization and wreak havoc. In 2001, the Surgeon General of the US issued a report, and that report states that rejection carries a greater risk for adolescents' violence than drugs, poverty, and gang membership put together. This report states that rejection carries a greater risk to adolescent violence than if you put every violence relating to drugs, everyone relating to poverty, everyone relating to gang membership, put them together. They are still nowhere near the risk of violence among adolescents that rejection carries. Rejection, it seeks and it destroys people's self-esteem. It seeks and it breaks down and mashes down and destroys people's self-esteem, especially where it is from somebody that you are intimately connected to, like in a marriage, like in a spouse, like in partnership. This is what happens when somebody in that relationship or in that connection, when when there's a breakdown in the relationship, in the link, in the connection, mostly what people tend to do is they look inward. They look at themselves and say, what is wrong with me? Why is this happening to me? Is it because of what I have done or what I haven't done? They try to find a fault in themselves. And in the process of that, they start identifying imaginary errors in themselves. Errors that are not there. They manufacture them. Oh, I'm not adequate in this area. I'm not competent in that area. I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. And eventually, they start kicking themselves. When in most cases, it probably has nothing to do with them. It's just the other party that's decided to do their own thing. But what that does is, because you have now self-diagnosed yourself and you have identified sicknesses and diseases that are not there, but now you've labeled them as your own. Instead of using whatever energy you have left to get up and get going with life, those energies are dissipated into self-pity and self in you kick yourself, you hate yourself, you beat yourself up, and ultimately what it will do is it will erode and erase and destroy every ounce of self-esteem that you have. That when even you have the opportunity to start a new relationship or connect with somebody else, in your head, all you can see are your shortcomings, your inadequacies, your errors, your fault, your this, your that. And so when you're supposed to get up and get going, you'll rather sit down and do nothing. Blaming yourself, finding fault in yourself, and attacking your self-worth because of rejection, it will only deepen your emotional pain. That pain that you're already feeling, when you then start to inflict more pain on yourself by yourself, that emotional pain gets deeper and stronger. And then it makes it harder for you to recover from that rejection. Oh, wow. I hope somebody is learning something from what we're looking at tonight. I know it's a very delicate topic, it's a very sore topic, it's something that people would rather not go, it's a no-go area, don't touch this one kind of a thing. And I'm, like I said at the beginning, I am not being condescending regarding what people have feeling or going through or experiencing or they've experienced in the past. No. But at the same time, it is necessary for us to leave no stone unturned, as it were, because maybe something that will be said from tonight is going to help somebody to recognize that at the end of the day, wait a minute, this has nothing to do with me. How come I've spent the past 100 years just slamming my own head against the wall when actually it's the incomplete that messed up the whole thing? It's not my fault. I did my best. I gave it my best shot. And maybe it will help somebody to recognize that this world, on this planet Earth, that we have over 7 billion human beings on planet Earth. Okay? Over 7 billion. If you start counting to 7 billion, you go gray before you get to 7 billion. But there are over 7 billion human beings on Earth. If one of them, 5 of them, 10 of them, 100, 1,000 of them, a whole village of them, a whole town, a whole nation of them should reject you, guess what? It's just a drop in the ocean of the 7 billion people. Don't let anybody rent a room in your heart that they will not even pay money for the rent. Don't give them the privilege, the benefit, the advantage, the enjoyment, the fulfillment, and the satisfaction of keeping you down when they are trying to fly high. No. No. Quickly, let's look at some types of rejection. Again, like I said, this is just the beginning of this topic, so this might not relate to you. It might not even have anything to do with anybody. But let's quickly look at some types of rejection, and try to see, because whatever rejection you are dealing with is different from the one I'm dealing with. It's different from the one your neighbor is handling. It's different from the one that person is experiencing. So it's good to have a good mixture so that hopefully everybody will have something to take away. One type of rejection is being ignored. Being ignored. It's called the unspoken rejection. Being ignored. As if you're not even there. As if you oh, sorry, you, I didn't. Being ignored is one type of rejection. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example here. If you know me, you know I'm a free man. I am so free. I can sell some. But at the same time, when this thing is in your face, when rejection or being ignored is in your face as a form of rejection, you got to say, come on. You got to wake up. I traveled to Charleston in the US, and before I left here, I booked a car hire. So I went there and went to the car hire place to pick up the car. I think there were about 6 of us on the queue. I was the only black person there. For me, it don't bother me. I've never been bothered about being black. I'm a man. That's all that matters. Anyway, so I was there, and this attendant started serving the people in front of me. When it got to my turn, she walked away. So I thought, oh, maybe she's going to take something in the office. And she walked away. So I was there. There was another queue behind me. And then she came and she just looked past me as if I was not there and beckoned to the guy behind me to say, yes, come. So I turned and I saw the guy, and the guy walked past me. She attended to that one. She called the second person. So she was about to call the third person. I said, excuse me, I was here before these guys. And the moment I said that, she just turned and walked away again. So I'm thinking, what's going on here? She came back out and called the person behind me again. So at that point I said, no, something is definitely not right here. At that instant, just before I started to manifest, another man came from the back room and he said, oh, Mr. Disu, I'm sorry. I've never met this guy before. I don't know him. That was my first time of being in Charleston. And this guy said, oh, Mr. Disu, I'm sorry. I'm thinking, how do you? He said, oh, please come. Let me attend to you. Anyway, he attended to me. By that time, my hazard lights were going things, but I'm still holding on to myself. Anyway, we finished the paperwork. He said, let me take you to your car. As we were going, this guy turned to me and said, I'm sorry about what happened. He said, I could see everything from inside the office where I was. He said, the issue here in this town is that people are very, very racist. And unfortunately, she's just confirmed that. It's nothing that you've done. It's just that your kind of people are not the kind that she wants to serve. And I say, well, that's her loss. I got my car, slipped the guy a $20 bill, and drove away. What am I saying? One form of rejection is being ignored, as if you're not even there, as if you are completely zoomed. You're just vamoose. Sometimes you pour your heart, your soul, your energy, your everything into a relationship, into a connection, into a business, into a partnership. You give it your everything, either in your personal life or in your professional life. And then you wait. And you wait. And you wait. No feedback, nothing returned. Nothing is coming back at you. It was just dead silence. That is the unspoken rejection. Being rejected, being ignored rather, is as painful as being told you're not qualified, you're not good enough, you don't have value to add, you are not valuable, you are not recognized, nobody relates to you. Being ignored, this unspoken form of rejection, is just equally as painful as when somebody look you straight in the eye and say, "Nah, not you." Now, the problem with being ignored, or as a form of rejection, or as a type of rejection, is that when it happens to people with low, who are already suffering or having low self-esteem, the pain is deeper, and it takes them longer to get over that setback and move on with their life and become what they can be. But for people with high self-esteem, for instance, what that lady did that day, as soon as I got in the car, oh, it was a Mustang. I put my foot down on that thing. I could hear it singing behind me. Woo. But for me, it's her loss. But for somebody with low self-esteem, if that had happened to them, they'll probably not be able to do what they were in that place to do for the period they were there, because all they can think of, all they can remember was that point of being ignored. And when people are ignored as a form of rejection, the result is that it's not just the rejection. It makes them start to self-doubt themselves. It makes you to start to doubt even yourself. And what that does is it snowballs the whole effect and makes it bigger than it is actually. Then there is the type of rejection that is flat out no. Straight in your face, and they tell you no. Now, that is in one hand good, as in another hand bad. As human beings, we like closure. We like to start something and see it finish. We like to see the end. And one of the things that reality TV has capitalized on is this need for human beings to have closure to everything. So why do you think people are addicted to soap opera, for instance? There are some people, their day is incomplete if they've not watched Coronation Street or Lakeside or this or that or I remember when 24, Jack Bauer was in the prime. Oh boy. I can't get enough of it. The reason is, these TV programs, for instance, these soap operas, they will go so far, just towards the end, they will do something spectacular, and then they will close the episode. Immediately, because the nature of human being is to have a closure, you're like, no, I need to see what happened next. What's going to happen to him next? How is she going to react next? And because of that, they drag it out for as long as possible. Keep on postponing the closure. But when you have a flat out, straight in your face, can't be bothered, I'm not intimidated by you, a no straight in your face, in some way it is good, because you know that chapter is closed and you can move on with your life. But for others, when they hear the word no, Instead of seeing it as the closure of a chapter, immediately they look inward and they see it, they recognize it, they consume it as a form of rejection. And therefore, they don't see it, they don't recognize it as a form of closure. To them, it is another form of closure. Now, because it's a closure doesn't mean you don't still feel the ouch. Yes, you will feel that. But along the line, it helps you to come to a conclusion and move on to the next phase. The best way to overcome or to come back from a flat out, straight in your face, no rejection, is to step back. Take your emotions out of the equation and replace it with logic, and assess the situation and ask yourself, was there a valid reason for that? Is there something that could have been done, something that I should have done? So, and just reassess the whole situation without the influence of your emotion in the mix. As you do that, you will probably identify what the weak point is, and then you can make corrections and move on with your life. But then there is this type of rejection that is not the type of flat out, in your face, no, but a nicely worded rejection. But all the same, is still saying, not you, not good enough, we'll do with somebody else. That is the kind of letter you get, for instance, when you apply for a job or you've attended an interview, and then you get a letter that says, oh, thank you, Mr. Disu, for attending, da-da-da-da-da. And the next line says, we regret to inform you. Now, it's a form of rejection. But what they have done is, instead of just pouring the cold water on you, they want to ease you into the situation. Even a polite rejection can knock you back a step. But again, when you take your emotions out of it and you replace it with logic, you will understand. When people advertise or put vacancies out, maybe they have one position and 500 people applied. At the end of the day, 499 people will at some point be told, not you. But it is how it is done that matters. By stepping outside of your comfort zone, that is another way by which you can deal with rejection. For instance, if you've spoken to salespeople, especially people who do cold calling, one of the training they get is how to handle rejection, how to handle no, how to go past the no. Not everybody that you pick up the phone and say, hey, my name is John and I want to sell you this, will say, oh, really? Bring it. Let's buy 50 of them. 80% will say, no, not interested. Some will not even let you speak before they put the phone down. What do you do with that? You keep on going until you find the one that will close the deal for you. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said at the beginning, rejection is an issue of value. It's an issue of value. It is a statement that says, I value you or I don't value you. Period. And so whenever you find yourself in a position where you have to dish out this rejection meal, do it carefully. Because the person that you are being, that the person at the receiving end, you don't know their story, you don't know their background, you don't know what they're carrying. Somebody said to me once, he said, the truth is bitter. And that is why you must serve it with love. The truth is bitter to swallow. And that is why when you serve it on a plate of love. So that even though it's bitter in my mouth, but the recognition or the experience of the love with which you serve it will help me endure the bitterness as I push it down my throat. Rejection is one of the roadblocks in life that stops people, hinders people, and derail people from fulfilling their assignment and reaching their goals in life, from maximizing their potentials. I don't know what you have suffered and what you have experienced or what you've been through. My prayer tonight is the peace of God will rest upon you, and the God of comfort will put his soothing arm around you right now and take away the sting, the pain, and the devastation of any form of rejection that you have experienced or you have dealt with, you have had to go through. I thank you for your time tonight. I thank you because I know this is a topic that is very, very dicey. And again, like I said at the beginning, it wasn't meant to belittle what people have been through or the people are going through or people are experiencing. It is done in the hope that somewhere, somehow, somebody will pick something from it that will help them either to overcome the pain or will help them to recognize that the meal they're serving, the treatment they're giving other people is causing them to feel rejected. Thank you so much for your time. Remember, we have a purpose. We're going somewhere. We have a destination. And we're not going to give up now. We've come too far to give up, to cave in, to throw in the towel and just surrender. No. We are not going to quit on ourselves. We have a destination. And we will get there. Screaming and shouting, but we will get there. I thank you. I honor you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your comments. Now, if there's anything you want to say, but you don't want to say over on the platform, please drop me a line. Send me a private message from my Facebook, and I'll be glad to have a chat with you, especially on this topic that we're looking at tonight. So until we meet next week, this is Tunde Disu saying, God bless you. And have a wonderful time in the remaining part of this week and over the weekend. And I'll see you again on Thursday. Thank you. Bye-bye.